Hi friends, my name is Jess and welcome back to my channel, Books Past Bedtime. Today I'm bringing you my June TBR. If you watched my TBR last month, you'll know I was a little bit overambitious and that very much backfired. So this month we're back to making like an average TBR and hoping that I can stick with this one a little bit better. So first up, as always, is my tarot card TBR. So let's see what is in the cards for me this month. And the first card that I drew was Ace of Pentacles. This card stands for like a new career opportunity, manifestation, and abundance. So the prompt for this card is to read a book where a character gets a new job. And for this, I'm going to be reading Someday by, I cannot remember. You're so annoying. Come on, you're very annoying. Goodbye. And I'm reading this book as well because it is the group book for the Romanceathon that's taking place middle week of June, I think. The second week of June, the third week of June, something like that. But this is the group book. I'm not really totally sure what it's about, but I know that it's a male-male romance. And I know the one character starts working for the other character, I believe. And so that's like the new job that goes with the tarot card, you know? So that's the first book in my tarot card TBR. The next card that I drew was the Ace of Swords, and this card kind of stands for mental clarity, breakthroughs, and new ideas. And so the prompt for this card is to read an inspirational book of some sort. And for that, I'm going to be reading Untamed by Glennon Doyle. This is an autobiographical book about Glennon Doyle's life, and I think it's kind of about her like meeting the love of her life and being a gay woman and navigating the world and just kind of like some hard truths that we all have to learn about ourselves. I am not quite sure what all this one will entail, but I've been really wanting to read it for a long time and I think I'm really going to enjoy it. Also, it's like one of the most beautiful books I've ever seen in my life. I kind of want to buy it, but I got this one from the library. But maybe if I love it, I will purchase it because it's so pretty. The next card I drew was the Empress. This card represents femininity, beauty, nature, nurturing, all of those kinds of things. So the prompt for this card is to read a book written by a woman. And for this prompt, I'm going to be reading The Scent Keeper by 𝗙𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗲. Most likely I mispronounced that last name, I'm very sorry. But this book is like a magical realism sort of book and it follows this girl and her father. They live separated from the rest of society on this island. Her father like bottles scents. All of a sudden he stops being able to bottle these scents, or they kind of like are unable to do this anymore, and she kind of discovers that the life she's living is very abnormal and her father actually like removed her from society and she's missing out on a lot. So I think it kind of follows her as she learns like what she's missing out on and like integrates into the real world maybe. I'm not really sure. I have heard that it has Where the Crawdads Sing vibes because of the setting and just the descriptive nature of the writing. So I'm very excited to pick this one up because Where the Crawdads Sing I love so much and I'm interested in like the magical realism aspects as well. So I'm very excited to get to this one and hopefully it will be really good and live up to my expectations. The next card I drew was the Three of Cups. This card represents celebration, friendship, collaboration. So my prompt for this card is to read a book featuring friendship. And for that, I'm going to be reading The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is a historical fiction following two sisters in World War II and kind of their different stories, how the war affects them and how they overcome it. And I believe there's very powerful themes of like sister relationships and like sisters and friendship and kind of conflating. I feel like this definitely will fit. I'm very excited to read this one. I think it is going to be excellent. I've heard just nothing but good things about it. I've always been kind of afraid because it's a chunky historical fiction book, but I've actually heard that it's a pretty fast read. So I am very excited to pick it up and I hope that I will really enjoy it. The next card I drew was the Ten of Wands, and this card stands for burden, extra responsibility, hard work. My prompt for this card is to read a book with a character who is carrying a heavy burden or really going through it. And for that, I'm going to be reading 𝗕𝗍𝗍𝗻 by Douglas Stewart. This is a book that I'm reading for like an in-person book club that I am a part of. And I believe it's about this young boy and a single mother. And I think they are not very well off. So they're struggling with that. I think his mother might have some kind of addiction problems. I think 𝗕𝗍𝗍𝗻, who's the main character himself, is gay and coming to terms with his sexuality as he grows up and grows older. So I believe that's the gist of this book. My mom's already read it. She said it's very gritty. So I feel like it definitely fits along the lines of this prompt, and I'm very excited to get to this one. I haven't heard like Booktube talk about this book, but it's won quite a few awards and I think it sounds pretty good. So I'm excited to pick it up. And the last card I drew was the Star, and this card stands for hope, peace, faith, and spirituality. So the prompt for this card is to read a book featuring religion or spirituality. Now, I define spirituality very loosely. I feel like it can encompass a lot of different things, and so the book that I am going to be reading for this is Scorpio Hates Virgo by Anyata Sunday. This is like an astrology series, and this is actually the second book. I haven't read the first book, but I needed to read this one for a prompt for Romanceathon as well, so I'm going to be reading this one first. They're just kind of companions, so it's going against all my Virgo tendencies, but we're just gonna deal with it. I have read one Anyata Sunday book before, and that was Rock, and I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorites now. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was so well done and so good, so I'm excited to read more of her work. And this one just sounds like a light, fun time. I think it's basically like an enemies to lovers story. One of the main characters inherits a house, and like his grumpy rival neighbor like doesn't want him to renovate it, or like there's some kind of like house renovation inheriting thing going on, and some kind of like enemies to lovers rivalry thing happening. It's a male-male romance, and I'm very excited to pick it up. I think it'll just like be a fun like light read, and sometimes we need those, you know? So alright, so those are all of the books that were in my cards this month, but I do have a couple more readathons I'm participating in and books that I want to get to this month, so let's talk about those really quick. So the first readathon I'm participating in is a month-long readathon, and that is the Studio Ghibli readathon. I will admit that I have never seen a Studio Ghibli movie, but all my like best friends are hosting this readathon, so I really want to participate. Definitely check out all their channels. I'll link everybody down below. This is just basically a month-long readathon celebrating Studio Ghibli, and it creates prompts around 7 specific movies, and each host has like a team, like a movie. I took the BuzzFeed quiz since I'd never seen any of these movies to decide what team I was going to be on, and I got Howl's Moving Castle, which is hosted by Christine over at the Roomies Digest. And this feels fitting because I have actually read Howl's Moving Castle, the book, and so it's like the only story I know, so that was kind of the team I was going to pick anyway, so it worked out. But so basically for each team there are 3 prompts. You can obviously like do all of the prompts, but I have a tendency to overwhelm myself, so I'm just going to try and do my team's prompts. And here is the lovely little graphic with the 3 different prompts that go with my team. The first is unconventional love, to read some kind of unconventional love story. The second is to read a book with a flamboyant main character. And the third is to read a book with a like fiery, spicy main character. For the first prompt, an unconventional love story, I'm going to be reading The Japanese Lover by 𝗙𝗶𝘃 Allende. This basically follows a love story between a Polish girl and a Japanese man in San Francisco in the 1940s during World War II, during the time of Japanese internment camps and American fear regarding Japanese people after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. I feel like this definitely would count as an unconventional romance because it's 2 like unlikely people falling in love, and a lot of different extenuating factors keeping them from being together. I'm very excited to pick this one up. This is definitely, I'm doing like a secret TBR that includes this one and The Nightingale, and The Scent Keeper, so it's kind of like historical fiction heavy this month. I think I'm in the mood for that, so I'm looking forward to it, and I think this one sounds really good. I've heard nothing but good things from lots of people that I trust, so I'm very excited to pick this one up. For flamboyant main character, I'm going to count 𝗙𝗵𝘂𝗃 Hates Virgo by 𝗕𝗏𝗃 Sunday. I definitely feel like this one, well, I don't really know for sure, but I just have a feeling it will include a flamboyant main character. I mean, the guy on the front is wearing a fedora, for God's sake, so that alone is flamboyant enough for me. I think it counts. And for the fiery, spicy main character prompt, I'm going to be reading The Lost Ones by 𝗕𝗵𝗃 𝗫𝗁. This is the Literally Dead book club pick for June, so I'm going to be reading along with them. The main character in this story is a detective, and she's described in a lot of reviews and things as like a very fiery, get what she wants, take no prisoners sort of main character, so I feel like that definitely will fit. The story basically follows her had to give up her daughter for adoption when she had her because I think she was young. It turns out she gets this call that this daughter that she adopted has gone missing, and so she kind of throws herself into finding her daughter. I think part of her job as a detective, she finds like lost missing girls possibly, so I think there's some kind of connection there, but throws herself into looking for her biological daughter, and the story follows her doing that. I think this is a series, and this is the first one in the series. I don't really like series, but we'll see how this goes if I decide to continue with it. And those are the 3 books that I'm planning to read for the Studio Ghibli Readathon. I'm sure I could probably like double count prompts and like find more things to fit, but I'm just trying not to overwhelm myself, so we're just gonna stick with that for now. I think that works for me. So the next readathon I'm participating in, I already mentioned earlier, and that is the Romanceathon. I participated in this last year and it was a lot of fun, so I definitely would like to do it again this year. It does take place from June 12th to June 18th, so it is coming up because today when I'm filming this is June 6th because I've been in a filming life editing slump as I've been all year, so but regardless, I do have 4 books that I'm going to be reading for Romanceathon, the first of which is one of my most anticipated of the year, and that is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This is a story following our 2 main characters. They live in New York City. Our one main character, I don't know their names, she meets, I think her name is Jane on the subway, and it turns out that Jane is like displaced time traveler from the 70s or something. Our main character has to figure out how to help her get back, but they fall in love. So a sapphic Casey McQuiston is all I've ever wanted in my life, so I cannot wait to read this. I'm so excited. This is actually only counting for one Romanceathon prompt, and that is book with a cover you love. Obviously this cover is beautiful, so yeah. I am also planning to read The Japanese Lover by 𝗙𝗵𝘂𝗲𝗏 𝗠𝗏 during this week, and this book is going to count for the prompt to read a book by a BIPOC author. The author of this book is South American. She was born in Peru, raised in Chile. I am also going to count this book for the out of your comfort zone prompt because it's historical fiction, and that's something I don't typically read, so it's definitely like a romance subgenre that's out of my comfort zone. And I'm also going to count it for the new to you author prompt because I've never read this author before. So, and like I mentioned, I'm also going to be reading Sunday, which is the group book, and I'm counting this as my indie romance read. And I'm also planning to read 𝗙𝗵𝘂𝗃 Hates Virgo this week, and that would count for the romance backlist prompt because 𝗕𝗏𝗃 Sunday is definitely probably one of my favorite romance authors, and this is a backlist of hers. And it's also counting as hate to love because I think it's like enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers, something along those lines. That is my Romanceathon TBR that I'll be reading from the 12th to the 18th. And then I have a couple other books that I want to read, the first of which is The People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is the Sugar and Spice book club pick, and I've already missed the live show. I still have 100 pages of this left to read. I'm sorry, Kristen and Amanda, but I am really liking this so far. This basically follows these 2 friends who they met in college, and they always like every summer came back together and took this trip, but then something happened like 2 years ago. They had this falling out and they haven't spoken. Our main character Poppy really realizes that she misses him, and so she calls to invite him on another summer trip, and he agrees, and they kind of reconnect and eventually start to realize that they've kind of always had feelings for one another. And I'm really liking it so far. I think I'm probably liking it a little bit more than Beach Read, which I read last summer, so it's a good time and I'm excited to finish it this month. I am also planning to read Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. Ugly sticker up here, but this is basically a thriller that takes place at a summer camp. Our main character, she was there when she was like 13 as a camper. Something horrible and tragic happened. Some girls that she was sharing a cabin with ended up going missing. We don't really know how they went missing or what happened to them because it hasn't been revealed. I've already started this. if I'm talking about like I'm reading it, it's because I am. But then she has like always had this trauma. She's an adult now, a painter, and she is approached by the lady who owns the camp and is like, do you want to come back? I'm reopening this summer. The camp hasn't been open since this tragic event happened. Do you want to come back as like a counselor, as a staff member? She's like, yeah, sure. She goes back. She kind of wants to find out more about what happened to the girls and kind of confront her past with the camp. So that's why she agrees to go back. And so we are following her in the present timeline, and we're also getting flashbacks to the past to kind of find out what happened in the past and what happened to these girls and went missing. So this is a really good thriller, and it's a good one to read in the summertime, and I'm just having a lot of fun with it, so I can't wait to finish it up. I forgot to mention too that I am reading Untamed by Glennon Doyle for the Nonfiction Baddies book club hosted by 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝗃 and 𝗕𝗏𝗲𝗲. I'm very excited to read along with them. For some reason I have read every book that for the book club, but I've not made it to the live shows. I'm sorry. I'm just not good about live shows, but hopefully I'll make it to this one. Oh, and one last stop by 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝗃 is the Sugar and Spice book club pick for June. So that's another reason why I will be reading this one this month. And then finally, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott that I've been reading since like freaking, I don't even know, March. God, just finish it. Just finish it, Jess, please. Just finish it. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but The Nightingale and The Japanese Lover plus The Scent Keeper are all in a secret TBR coming out this month. So let me know if you have any guesses what this is. I'm very excited to get to it, and we'll see how I think of everything. So that is my June TBR. Hopefully, oh, I forgot. I also am planning to read Darling by Kay Ingram this month because this is the June pick for the Whiners book club, and this is a Peter Pan retelling. I love Kay Ingram as an author. They've quickly become one of my favorite authors, so I am very excited to read along with the book club for this book. This was kind of a last minute addition. I forgot about it. I don't actually think it even comes out until mid-June, so but very excited for this one. Okay, now that is my June TBR. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you liked it and you feel like subscribing and seeing more of me. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter to keep up with me on the day-to-day. I also will have every book that I talked about in this video linked down below. Definitely go check it out. There's always good links for you guys down there. Free trials of like Scribd and Audible and Book of the Month. Lots of good stuff down there. Definitely check it out. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. If you watched all the way through, leave me a crystal ball emoji, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.